Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, Bougie Vintage, and today's video is Face the Facts. This is Botox reinvented, whatever you want to call it. We are just going to get right into it. This first one is called I Need to Get the F ASAP. I don't know if she wants to be anonymous yet, so let's just start reading. Hey Bo, so first off, I want to start this off by saying I'm a younger girl. I am 23 and I will be 24 on October 20th. My name is V, and before you judge, because I know you are brutally honest after watching your Botox series, well, I've been saved again since then. So any dragging I do will be holy. I know I look very dumb, lol. However, I have been manipulated beyond manipulation and I don't know how to leave the situation. Enough synopsis, here's the tea. I met this guy last year in April and at the time I lived in Atlanta. He stopped me in public by catcalling me numerous times, which I ignored until he came up to me respectfully. I'm going to go ahead and say this guy's agenda was to have sex from the jump, but after rejecting him for a few days, I hung out with him, and he was decent personality-wise. See, the first red flag is there, because if his intent was to have sex with you, they will stop at no lengths, okay? They will stop at nothing, okay? So it doesn't matter that he decided, okay, he's not going to pursue you for sex anymore. I'm not speaking directly to V now, I'm speaking to anybody watching. If he initially wanted to have sex with you, but you reject him and he cools down, his goal is still to have sex with you, and he will do whatever he needs to get to that goal. Even if that means giving you X amount of time, a month, 3 months. If he saw you and he's attracted to you and he wants to add you to his sex roster, he's gonna do it. If you let him. Anyway, this guy is not my physical type, but in other areas, he passes. Child, been there, done that, won't do it again. We started hanging out daily, and 2 weeks in, I saw Bay on his phone while we were together in the car. He was out of the car. I let him know that the phone was ringing, so he knew I saw it, obviously, and he just disregarded it. So the next day, he was making small talk through text, and I let him know before he could be real with me, he has to be real with himself, and he could have told me he was gonna bless me. So fast forward, I met him mid-April. We started having sex at the beginning of May. Yes, after me knowing he had someone else. My reasoning for deciding to still be intimate with him was, 1, I saw his test results and he was clean. Well, I love that. This will come back up later. And 2, he may not have been single, but I was single and not looking for commitment. Remember, I said I'm young. Not she was the other woman, girl. Oh my goodness. So we had a lot of sex, and I truly thought of him as a friend, someone I confided in. He confided in me as well. The relations were more than just sex. As time went on, I forgot to mention, his main occupation was slanging that work, lol. Girl. Girl. He got me to do various drugs with him, like Xanax, Molly, Percocets, Coke, ecstasy. I was never addicted to any of these. I just tried them or did them to party, shake my head. In August, we had a really passionate night, and in September, I found out I was pregnant. Did not expect this. I didn't feel any feelings for him until I found out I was pregnant, but that's when things changed. In summary, in October, we got into a really bad fight. He got physical with me, and prior to this, I had been the only one who put my hands on him. That night, he choked me as I was driving, bit my shoulder, and other things. This is a bit extreme. November was probably the worst because that's when lies came into play. He was already lying because the bae in his phone was actually his wife. And one of the worst things to happen happened. He had street enemies. I'm still unclear as to if his wife organized this or his street enemies, but we rode in my car a lot. I lived right around the corner from his block. Are you suggesting that if you knew he had a wife, you wouldn't have pursued him, but because she was just his girlfriend or bae, you had the relationship with him? Am I getting the right vibe there? Because that's really where some people will draw the line. Like, if you have a girlfriend, they don't care. They'll still mess with you. But if you have a wife, they may, tell you, I'm not messing with you because you're actually married. That's a thing. And I lived right around the corner from his block. If you know street lingo, which I know you do, but you know what the block is. Someone ended up throwing a Mazel Tov cocktail. I know you lying. At my car, but missed. And it caught someone else's car on fire. God is good. Problem is, the complex I lived in, my family owns. This is not immediate family, but I am very close with these family members, and their net worths are in the millions, so they are very elite and known in Atlanta, needless to say. That kind of crime wasn't a good look for their property, and so they wanted me out after my lease was up, so this guy compromised my housing by having his enemies try to sabotage my car while I was carrying his child. I found out via CCTV footage the leasing office showed me. Not only this, but I found out that he was 17 years my senior. This wouldn't have been so bad because I like older men, but he lied to me saying he was 28. Like, why lie? Girl. See, we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on Botox. I don't know where we talked about this, but I said that, I think it was in the red flag video, I was saying that if somebody has a criminal background and they are from the street and they participate in criminal activity, they're going to do you criminally at the end of the day. Okay, some change, some are reformed and they can shed that criminal mindset, but the ones that, are heavily in the streets still, especially, those ones, their whole MO is to cheat, lie, and steal from whoever, selling drugs, whatever they're doing. It's a shady dealing. So they're gonna definitely be shady in relationship. That's their core. That's who they are. So that's why those things are red flags. In January, he gave me the clap. I'm tired. And that hurt the most because, like, what the hell? I trusted him with my body, and by that point, we hadn't had sex since November, and I only have one sex partner at a time. In March, my lease was up, and I had nowhere to go, so I moved to Florida and stayed with my mom and had my daughter May 6th. Oh, the day after Belle's birthday. Okay, so what I want to say about the whole one sex partner thing is, you knowing that he had a girlfriend, significant other, wife, whatever it is, that means that you no longer just have one sex partner because you're having sex with her and you don't know if she's having sex with other people. So if she's having sex with other people because she knows her man is a cheating, lying dog and she's deciding she's not going to leave him, but she's going to have sex with whoever she wants to have sex with, and then she's having sex with him and passing him whatever she has, or he has another girl that he's having sex with outside of you, because just because you are the other girl doesn't mean you're the only other girl. So technically you can't say you only have one sex partner because you don't know who his wife is sleeping with. You don't know who else he's sleeping with because he is a liar. And he's obviously a cheater if he's having sex with you and he has a whole partner, whether they're married or not, that's irrelevant. So that's why it's really important in sexual relationships, if you're not, monogamous and this is actually your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you can post them on social media, nobody's gonna be popping up at the woodworks and say, hey, that's my nigga. Like, if that's your actual partner, then okay, fine, you can say you have one sex partner and hopefully the person is respecting you and not having sex with other people. But if that's not the case and you are sleeping with somebody else, you don't have the grounds to say, I'm only sleeping with one person. You sleeping with everybody, okay? In March, my lease was up and I had nowhere to go. So I moved to Florida to stay with my mom, had my daughter May 6th. I went back to Atlanta for him to meet his daughter, and he stood her up 2 days in a row. He has yet to do anything for her, but sends me novels on how I made him a better man. He's in love with me. He wants to be there for me and my daughter. Oh, God. I don't believe him, but I have feelings for him now after everything, and it's hard to let go when someone says they love you and all that other manipulative BS. Every time he's done something I felt was rude, he says, I didn't do anything, it's you. I'm triggered. So I'm not even going to say more than that. That is some bull, okay? If you call somebody out on their nasty behavior towards you and they blatantly tell you that they didn't do nothing to you, it's you, it's your fault, you brought this on yourself, that is not somebody you need to be even engaging with. Girl, be blessed that the only thing that is tying you to this man right now is your daughter. You probably didn't put him on the birth certificate, and you shouldn't. So move on with you and your daughter, because I can tell you right now, that is not the type of person you want around your daughter. That's not the type of person that you want to help raise your daughter. He can't raise nobody. He can't even raise himself. He's irresponsible. At the end of the day, is a danger to your child. You just told me you had a fiery alcohol bottle thrown at your vehicle. You got removed from your home because of this man. This is not somebody that is supposed to be around your daughter, whether he delivered the sperm or not. Anyway, and because I'm vocal when I don't like something or about him being there for my daughter, if not financially, at least ask about her, he says I'm nagging and calls me a little ass girl. That's because he's the grown-ass man and preyed on you and groomed you, knowing you were so young, and he's 17 years older than you. This is a crazy person, okay? Stay far away. He has told me he was going to kill me, and overall, he is just trouble, but something won't let me move on. Yes, what is not allowing you to move on is your fear of being a single mother. I dealt with that as well, okay? Being a single mom ain't that bad. Matter of fact, I enjoy it because I was a single mom long before I left my ex. So it's like, in a perfect world, like, okay, so everybody wants whoever they had kids with, everybody wants that person to contribute to the children financially, because at the end of the day, they should have to, and that is actually the law. They have to contribute money to take care of the children. The children have nothing to do with the adults in the situation. So if the adults can't get along, if the adults are not able to co-parent, that kind of stuff, if that's the case, that has nothing to do with the kids and where the finances are concerned. A lot of the times, these men that owe child support, they don't even owe a lot. Their monthly payment is like $20, okay, because they're broke. But for the ones that actually have to pay thousands in child support because whatever reason, they're freaking millionaires, whatever it is, that money is for the children. It's not for the mom. And I understand, yes, some moms do use it how they're not supposed to use it. But at the end of the day, if these men really knew how expensive it was to take care of these kids, they wouldn't even think that that's what... Like, a mom that's getting $20 per child, and she got two, so she's getting $40 a month for child support. I can promise you she's not putting that $40 towards no damn Dior purse. And that's how these guys act. It's so ridiculous. In a perfect world, real single moms that deal with abusive exes, I can't speak for them all. I can only speak for myself. I don't want child support. I don't want a freaking dime because I don't want to have to deal with him at all. I wish it could be like, hey, if you don't pay child support, if you don't want to pay child support to the mother when the children live with the mom full time, if you don't want to pay that, the mom should be able to say, okay, fine, he doesn't have to pay, but also he's not allowed to be a part of the children's lives if he is indeed abusive. And in your situation, that's really what I see. I feel like because you weren't officially tied to him, because you weren't married to him, he's not the type of guy that is going to take you to court over your daughter. He's too busy selling drugs and getting in problems in the streets. He has a whole wife. He's getting you pregnant. Like, this is not somebody that's going to pursue you for custody of your child or try to get out of paying child support. And really, it's for you, it would be so much easier to just have no dealings with him at all. If somebody has told you out of their mouth that they are going to kill you, why would you even want them to give you any kind of money for your child? No, sir. And his money's not even legal. Like, if he gets put in jail tomorrow, he's not paying you child support. So I don't even know why you would want that from him. I wouldn't want anything from him, to be honest. I've been groomed and manipulated, but the thought of me severing ties pains my heart. I don't know what to do at this point. It's gotten me to the point where when things are good, I still cry. All I know is that you need to go to therapy. I feel like your attachment to him, I don't know what your situation was with your father. I'm not a freaking therapist. I don't know what your situation was with your father, but your attachment style, I can clearly see that there's some kind of issue here, whether it's with your mom or your father. You have an attachment issue. You have to dig deep into who your inner child is. Search for why you're attaching yourself to this person despite the fact that they're toxic. What have you seen throughout your life? What were your examples for relationship? Dig deep into that. Seek therapy. Do prayer, a lot of prayer, but find your self-worth, build up your self-esteem, and stop trying to put yourself in a predicament where you're going to be hurt in the end. Because I really just feel like your attachment to him is stemming from fear. It's gotten to the point where when things are good, I still cry because I know they won't last long. He will go back to ignoring me and his daughter when all I ever talk to him about is his daughter and fighting with me. The good times never last, but I'm ready to let go of him. And that's the biggest thing. As long as you're ready to let go of him, you just have to know that you will be able to. Obviously, it's not your fault that you were manipulated. It's not your fault that he pursued you and took advantage of you. Those things are not on you. But what is on you now is, how do I protect myself? Emotionally, physically, mentally, you have to be taking ownership, and you have to be willing to protect yourself, because this is not somebody that can protect you. I found myself in that situation too, where I'm looking to the person that is hurting me to protect me. And it didn't make not one iota of sense, okay? It didn't make any sense. You cannot have the same man that's dragging you through your house by your hair follicles to comfort you after he dragged you through the house by your hair follicles. It don't work like that. It's actually ridiculous. When something feels like home, that's just the natural side of things, because it's actually a coping mechanism, and it's actually a way that we protect ourselves during abuse, where we pretend, so to speak, that we're still trusting and loving the person that is hurting us. And that's pretty much where you are. There's so many different stages that you go through when you're dealing with abuse, especially physical abuse, emotional, any kind of abuse, whether it's emotional, mental, financial, physical, any of those things. You go through different phases when you're trying to get out of it. And I feel like you're still at the beginning stage because you still have that attachment. Like, when I was trying to leave my relationship, obviously I knew I needed to leave, but because there were so many other factors, I was also still trying to fight to keep the relationship. And so there just has to be a breaking point there. To me, your breaking point was already there. And sometimes you have a breaking point and you still, after that, you still go in because you don't even understand why it is that things are happening the way they're happening. You don't really accept or want to accept that you are in an abusive relationship. Yours is plain and clear. There has already been physical violence with your situation, and he's already threatened to do X, Y, and Z, and he has done three much, you know? People make leaving seem so easy, and it's really not. You have to get there mentally before you can do it physically. You guys are not a couple, and you guys don't live together, and he has another partner. So really, it should be a little bit easier for you to move on from the situation. But I understand that when you are manipulated and your brain has been scrambled, and it's almost like they rewire your brain so that you won't leave, so that you can't go anywhere. You feel like a caged animal. So I understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and I respect that you're feeling the way you're feeling. I just need you to get the strength to leave that man alone. The biggest thing that you can do is have the police press charges on him for anything that's happened between you, you know? And then they'll put a restraining order on him, and then he can't contact you at all. That is one of the first things that you could do to limit the interactions, because once that restraining order is in place, you as the victim cannot reach out to him, or you're not supposed to reach out to him. And him as the person that is charged definitely cannot reach out to you. And if he does, for any reason at all, even if it's to say, hey, you want a piece of bubble gum, they're going to charge him. So this next one is called Narcissist, No Novocaine. Hey, Bo. It looks like this whole entire episode is going to be narcs. Okay. I've been watching you for ages, and I love your bluntness and realness. There are very little people in this world who can call a spade and keep it moving. You are a breath of fresh air. Thank you very much. I am in my mid-20s, a woman, black, and very tired. Girl, me too. I mean, I'm not in my 20s no more, but I was tired, and I'm still tired. With that said, I can relate to your journey with narcissists. As early as 5 years old, I recognized that my dad belonged to that very special group. Same girl. He was rarely home because he worked a lot. But when he did come home, I literally felt the atmosphere start to rot. I feel like this is partially what my children were experiencing. And I don't like to say like stuff like that because obviously I don't want to speak for my kids. But as a mom, I watched it. I witnessed it. I felt it. And I could feel their sadness sometimes, and it was hurtful for me. That was really one of the most painful things that I had to deal with, especially because it brought me back to when I was a child, and I was experiencing those things as well. Only I learned very early to have a certain guard up. And I guess you did too, because you're saying since you were 5, and I was probably around the same age too, and I was like, this nigga is crazy. He is not it. We got to go, Mom. Pack it up. Okay? I and my siblings walked around on eggshells, and no matter how good we got at creeping around his sensitive ego, something always set him off. Oh, God. I don't know if I can get through your email, girl. From 5 to 10, it was walking in front of the TV when he was watching something. And when my mom finally got the strength to say something, he simply shifted his trigger elsewhere. From 10 to 13 years old, he became health obsessed, but not with himself, with his adolescent children. Oh my. Running us in the field in front of our neighborhood, Taibo, Shady Commons, you name it, he used it. Yelling and shouting and crying to make any points increase and seemed to apply to everything as the years went on, creating a pressure cooker environment in our family. On top of that, our entire family was well known at our church, and of course he was beloved even though he was just as arrogant and unfriendly as he was at home. It seemed no one had the backbone to call him on his stuff. So without an outlet nor a refuge, because he would bang on our doors and set family meetings when he felt he was being ignored, neither at home, at church, or at school, my siblings and my mom turned into many different flavors of people-pleasing androids. Oh, wow. However, that is not my story. Period. It's always that one. It's always that one in the family that's gonna rise up. Even though I was always the rebel, I wouldn't take his mess, and he knows not to fool with me to this day because I established that baseline early on. Girl, did I write this to myself? Because it's giving that, okay? It's giving that. I received a lot of opposition from the rest of my family because they decided to deal with him by being overly deferential and giving him grace after grace. So, it sounds like your family is fawning. So, there's fright, flight, freeze, fawn. And fawning, of course, is the people-pleasing aspect of dealing with abuse. Even though he purposefully neglects our youngest brother because he is also a rebel and triggers the alpha male complex he's so tightly held on to, he's tried to physically fight him on several occasions and has actually put his hands on my older brother when he was in his early teens. Birthdays, Christmases, July 4th, especially July 4th for some reason. Is it the alcohol? Oh, girl. It doesn't matter. He ruins it. It always ends with him yelling at us and then wondering why everyone was upset and then triggering him to get upset again. To give you an idea of what it's like, he's been flirting with the idea of dropping Christmas for a couple of years, which means every Christmas he's moaned and complained about it until he's ruined the holiday festivity. Because Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, yada yada. Well, he ain't lying there now. The real reason is because he hates spending money, especially on others. So he pouted all the way through the holiday season up until Christmas and then proceeds to invite himself to our gathering anyways, eating our food and making unsolicited comments so that he could look hurt when it got awkward. Okay, so why don't y'all just not tell him where the function's gonna be at? I don't understand. He has taken and used my mom's paycheck since the beginning of their marriage. Wait, your mom's still with him? He doesn't let her grocery shop, and hasn't, or decorate the home. We've lived like nomads since I could remember. He also hates women with every fiber of his being. Girl, it sounds like he's 6'2" and white. Every movie, TV show discussion we have that remotely involves a woman, without exception, triggers a misogynistic tirade. But she has responded every time with grace and mercy. We've moved states, and it allowed me to finally move out with my sister. But the dilemma is my sister and the rest of the family has not used this opportunity to press the flex. I've told them that I don't want to come to any more family events until we all go to family counseling. But every time I tell them the whole plan, they revert back to my rebellious days and tell me in so many words to take several seats. Or not so many words, sorry. There has been a lot of spiritual abuse in that way. And of course, the verse that is the anchor around my neck is respect thy mother and father. Sorry, I almost said something that would have... One thing I can't stand is when people take scripture and use it for their own personal gain, for their own beliefs, for to manipulate. I can't. Like you, my ideal situation is to go to counseling for the sole purpose of selling him out so that we both know that I don't like him and don't want anything to do with him. Snitch and ditch. My life has been a series of dad-tinged tableaus, and when it isn't, it's a negative outcome of living under his narcissistic rule. I want to cut him out of my life completely and also have access to my mom, who is literally the best mom ever. She's my best friend, without having to deal with his jealous revenge. Because of his narcissism, he has made our family antisocial. He has no friends. He's ran off any friends my mom could have, and literally none of my siblings or me have friends. He is such a problem, but my family refuses to come together and fix it. Every time I suggest that, my mom, she says, he's doing so well right now, I don't want to set us back. Oh, I feel like you. I feel like at one point I was your mom. You see these little glimmers of hope in somebody and you just pray and hope that it's gonna stick. It ain't gonna stick. It ain't gonna stick. They gave you two wrong sides of Velcro. It ain't gonna stick. They gave you two of the same side of the magnet. It ain't gonna stick. You need opposites. Like, it's not gonna stick. These little glimmers that these narcissists... That's a part of narcissism. The good and the bad. They shine their little good and trick you into thinking there is some good in them. But it's a tactic. Like, and it has a lot of people fooled a lot of the time. So I feel like you, in the sense that I ain't putting up with nobody's crap. I'm not doing it. And then I feel like your mom, in the sense where I'm like, he's been doing so well. There's so many times that came out of my mouth as a wife. He's been doing so well. He's doing this. And then something happens to just make it all go out the window. And you're like, oh my God. They can't keep up the facade. And that's the problem. It's a facade. I told her it's killing me, but still everything is on hold. I've spent over $2,000 in medical bills just to find out that I'm overstressed. Every time we have get-togethers, my symptoms flare and my lymph nodes swell until I can barely move my neck. This has been going on for 3 months. Currently, I haven't celebrated my graduation from college. No pictures either. Haven't celebrated starting my first professional job. Haven't celebrated moving out for the first time. Haven't celebrated finally moving out of that garbage state. And haven't vacationed in 4 years because he gatekeeps my mom from all of those events and finds ways to sabotage them. Everything is lined up too. The church they go to offers counseling, and the pastor has a vendetta against abusive fathers. They have a whole council of elders and instructions to throw out the abusive parent and protect the family even after divorce. But she still won't act. If you leave it up to me, I will pop off right now. But I want this to stick, and I don't want the drama of the rest of my family pseudo-hating me for being the sacrificial lamb for all this relentless hell. What do you think I should do? I have dreams, and I don't want to hurt the little family I have left. Sincerely strong and never silent. I didn't read your email before I got to talking. I was literally just on a rant about it ain't gonna stick. And then I got to the bottom of your email, and you said, I want this to stick. God is talking to you, baby. God is saying that it ain't gonna stick, okay? That wasn't me. It wasn't me. It came out of my mouth, but it literally wasn't me. I literally didn't know that you wrote that in this email, and those are the words I chose to use. It ain't no coincidence, girl. You better listen to what's going on around you. You don't need your family to come with you. You can leave, get up out of there, okay? Because please remember the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph, his siblings, they got rid of him. And they had to go back to their dad and tell their dad Joseph is dead. Joseph wasn't dead. Joseph was taken, but where he went to, which was Potiphar's house, is where he ended up after the fact. He was beyond blessed, and he went solo dolo, okay? Because his siblings betrayed him. His siblings, they were jealous of him. And right now, you are Joseph. And so if you are unfamiliar with that story, the whole story, go read about Joseph's journey, you know, because at the end of the day, it was Joseph that saved them. But you got to get up out of there. You have to leave and lead by example. And unfortunately, that is going to mean, you know, keeping your distance from them as well, because they're still affiliated with him. But you have to create that boundary, and they will follow suit. You know, God will have things fall into place for you, because even with the Tasmanian devil situation, I had to throw my hands up, and we haven't even gotten to that part yet, but I had to throw my hands up and say, God, let your will be done. It wasn't even a white flag I was waving. I was just like, you know what, God? Whatever. I know you're gonna do something because this ain't right. And he did. So that is really what you need to do. Throw your hands up and keep your distance. If they want to go and have dinner with him every damn Sunday, let them have dinner with him every damn Sunday, but you're not going to be there. If they want to do Christmas with him, you're not going to be there. Exclude yourself for time to incubate. Because guess what? When you were in the womb, you were in there by yourself. Unless you got a twin girl. Okay? But you were by yourself in the womb. And in the womb, it's dark. And development is happening in the womb. Same with a cocoon. It's dark. When you're alone and in that quiet place and you can, spend that time with God and also with yourself and figure out what needs to be done, you don't need your family's approval to cut off your dad. And you don't need your dad to know, or you don't need to verbalize to your dad, whether in counseling or outside of counseling, what you think of him. Your silence is a killer. And you just ended your email also with sincerely strong but never silent. It's time to be silent. You need to be silent. You need to shut up and let God do what God's doing. You need to distance yourself and hold your corner so that you can keep growing. If they want to stay and do whatever they're doing and continue that abuse, that's up to them. Everybody's grown. You're grown. You go do what you need to do for your own peace. Why are you going to let them keep overstressing you? For what? You can love everybody from a distance. I'm not saying don't talk to your mom, don't talk to your siblings. That's not what I'm saying. So I just want to make that very clear. But what I am saying is create boundaries and don't let anybody cross them. If you say, hey guys, I'm not coming because XYZ, and they tried to convince you, you stop answering your phone. You stop responding to the group chat, whatever it is. You stop responding because at the end of the day, it is not your job to get everybody else in line. The only person you are responsible for is yourself. And I understand when you're seeing your mom go through something like this, you want to help her. You want to get her out of it, but she has to be grown woman enough to get herself out. There's so many women that have been with their abusive husbands for 50 plus years and are still getting abused even in their old age. And then you know what happens? The father or the husband that's been abusive for so long, after a while, he gets sick, and who does he have to depend on? The woman that he was abusing. And she's either going to take advantage of this and make him suffer a little bit, as she should, or she's going to put him in a home, as she should, and make somebody else deal with him because she can finally be free, even after 50 years. Or she's going to keep being a good old-fashioned Christian woman and take care of the man that was abusing her. In the Bible, guys, God was always about rising up, okay? Rising up. God don't want you to sit there and get beat on. He gives you instruction and tells you this is how you're going to rise above, and that's what you're going to go do. He will kill your enemies for you. If the enemy just so happens to be your father or your mother, whoever it is, he'll deal with it. It's not your job. So don't take it on. Not everybody is blessed to have a spine and a backbone. Some people are sluggish, They're missing the vertebrae. Don't be that person. Hi, Bo. I hope all is well, and I pray and hope everything is going well for you and your girls. It is. Thank you. I've been an avid watcher and always wanted to send an email during your Botox era, and I'm glad that now I have a chance. I am 19 and I am not currently speaking to either of my parents. My father has always not been an active parent in my life, and for years I've always found myself reaching out and being emotional that I wasn't getting the responses or actions that I wanted/needed. However, as I started growing up, I noticed that I always focused all my energy on my dad and never really took notice of the faults of my mom. That's where my emailing you comes in. My stepdad and my mom just recently stopped all communication with each other in early December, and by late December, early January, my mom was already bringing a new man over. I told her it was way too soon for me to even be introduced to him and that I didn't want to meet him. Every time she brought him over, my main problem was that she never texted me or let me know he was coming upstairs until I heard my front door and her room door close and his shoes left by the front door. I've been away at school. However, when I did come home for weekends, he was always there. That's where me and her started to really clash. Well, I just want to point out the fact that you are 19 and you're grown now. So if your mom wants to bring a man home, new guy, I don't really think that it's for you to say, hey, not cool. Though I have been in the predicament before where my mom did get a boyfriend and I wasn't feeling it. As an adult, I wasn't feeling it and I wasn't into giving the guy a chance either. But that was more so because I felt like my mom was being different, not that the guy was like annoying me or anything like that. Like it had nothing to do with him. For one, it started having me look at her weird that she wasn't notifying me that a man I didn't know was coming upstairs. And whenever I brought it to her attention, she always made it seem as if it wasn't my business, because it's not. I mean, unless he's like a murderer or something, which you wouldn't know until after you get murdered, and then you still wouldn't know because you're not here no more. I don't really think that it's like it's courtesy for her to tell you, hey, he's coming over. But if you're not paying rent and you're, you know, which you shouldn't because you're her child or whatever, and you're still young and going to school and stuff, I don't think you should be paying rent. My point is you're not her roommate, you're her child. So she doesn't really owe you any explanation as to who's coming over and when, but it would be courtesy. Me as a mother, I would do it, but I'm just saying, I don't believe that it is indeed owed to you. Fast forward to the beginning of my summer break and I come home and he's there. Keep in mind that I always stress to her that I'm not comfortable with him coming over and sleeping over every single day, and with her not telling me made me feel as if my comfortability in my own home was being taken away. Baby, are you paying bills? Because it's giving you're the mom and she's a child. That's what it's giving. If you ain't paying no damn bills in that house, if the mortgage, rent, whatever is not in your name, you don't get to tell your grown ass mama who can come and go. I am perplexed, girl. If you were my child, I would have been telling you about yourself, okay? Because you need to mind your business. Stay in the child's place.
You talk too much.
And if you feel that way, you're old enough to move out. That's the real tea. But we're going to continue. Oh, whenever I ask her if he could not come over or sleep over so that way I could walk around and be fully comfortable in my home, she always ignored me because my mother's the type of mother that if it's not something she wants to hear / comment on, she will ignore it. It's been months of me practically begging her to listen to me and at least allow me a day for him to not come over, and she told me no because she wants him over and to sleep over every day. Now that her and my stepdad are done, she found someone who wants what she wants, and now that I'm 19, she doesn't really care about how I feel. This led to huge arguments with us over the last few months because now I'm at the point where I don't want to do anything with her. I also asked her why she couldn't go to his house, and it's because she told me that he lives with his uncle and she wants to be in the comfortability of her own house. What rubbed me wrong is that she doesn't want to go over and stay over his house because she doesn't want to be uncomfortable. But that is practically ignoring me and my discomfort and how I feel because it's not something that she agrees with. Okay, so her not wanting to go to his place because he lives with his uncle, to me, that's more so because it's probably his uncle's house. So if it's his uncle's house and he's living at his uncle's in the basement or something, well, first of all, he's a grown-ass man. So this is actually the red flag. I feel like this is what you should have started with. To me, this is why he's coming over there, because he's looking for somewhere to stay that's not his uncle's house. But I feel like her not wanting to go over to his uncle's house is obviously because if her and her boyfriend are being intimate, she's a grown woman. She don't want another grown man to be there while she's being intimate with her man. I mean, it is, you are her child. So either which way you flip it, you don't want somebody else in the house when you're being intimate. But at the end of the day, everybody got needs, girl. Everybody got needs. So I feel like, yes, her reasoning is similar to your reasoning. The only difference there is that she owns the home that she's bringing her boyfriend to. She's not obligated to go to his place because the person that's not paying any kind of rent or bills, and if you are, my bad, you are requesting that she doesn't come to her own house. I think that that is absolutely insane. Also, I've been having huge fights over the years where she never fails to tell me that she's the only parent that has ever cared about me, which I feel is something a parent should never do. That is hard and tough, and I don't agree with her doing that either. Unless you said something to her, like, unless you brought up your father to her and tried to make him seem like the better parent, and it made her say that for whatever reason, which she still obviously shouldn't do. She should just, understand you're a child, that you're clearly hurt, and trying to process things the best you can. So she should be gentle because it is hard for children to not have both parents. That is a given. So unless that was the case, she really should not come up out of her mouth to say that. And I'm sorry that she has said stuff like that to you. As parents, you have to know and learn when to bite your tongue. If my child right now were to say something about their father, about like if they said something to me like, well, daddy says, or daddy made me, or daddy, but if they were to say your first thing to respond is, well, your daddy ain't here, okay? That's what you would want to say, but you have to learn to bite your tongue, obviously that has not happened, just putting that out there. But sometimes, especially as kids get older, that is very much what happens. I guess I'm asking for advice on how to let go and move on and be okay with the fact. I recently packed my things and I am living with my boyfriend because staying there and physically seeing that she disregards me and how I feel did nothing besides build up more of my anger with her. And watching your recent videos and hearing the words you spoke, which was just because they brought you into the world doesn't mean you have to have a relationship with them, really resonated with me and prompted me to email you. Sorry this is all over the place. It's just so much has happened within the last few months that typing and remembering it all at once is a lot. If I could get your advice, it would help a lot. Much love to you, Bo. I'm praying for peace and love for you and your family. Well, I'm praying for peace and love for you and your mom. You didn't email me anything that I feel like as a mom and daughter should really even be an issue. And I also don't feel like the issue that you sent me warrants so much anger and resentment towards her, because it's not like you did not one time mention that the man made you uncomfortable, actually, like him, like he approached you and your mom didn't believe you, because that's a completely different story. Like if it was something where the man was physically making you uncomfortable because you saw him looking at you and licking his lips or something weird, you know what I mean? Like if it was something like that, we have something to talk about. But you wanting to run the show and feeling like you're entitled to say who can come and go out of your mom's house that you don't pay for. And again, correct me if I'm wrong there, but you didn't say you was paying no bills up in there. If you are paying your mom rent and you're telling her, hey, I'm not comfortable with you always bringing him over, and then, you have a leg to stand on, but I really don't feel like you do in this situation. So if you want to send another email and give us something to look at where the relationship with you and your mom is concerned, some of the pressing issues there, go ahead and do that and we could dissect that, because this situation, I don't feel like you are in the right. Obviously, your mom, you did mention one thing here that was problematic, which is something that she said to you during an argument. And that I definitely do not agree with on her part. But as far as her bringing her boyfriend over, that ain't got nothing to do with you. So I understand your frustration. I understand that, you want things the way that they were. But sometimes you have to experience something and go through it before you can understand it. And you're not a mom. And you don't have a grown child living with you. So, one monkey don't stop no show now, okay? When the bat needs to get blown out, it's gonna get blown out, okay? Like, if you're 19 and you got a problem with me bringing my man home, baby, you're gonna have to move out. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, my advice to you would be to get to the real root of your issues or your resentment towards your mom and try to work on that part of the relationship. Because if your mom's been a good mom to you and this is just the only thing, and any arguments you guys had stemmed from trivial things, that's not somebody you really want to exile, let go of, especially if they did a good job raising you. It gets complicated when you're dealing with abandonment. It really does. Because abandonment affects everybody differently. So I'm going to read one more and then I'm out. I need advice and I saw your video and found your email there. My ex-stepfather abused me physically and verbally, which started when I was 3.5, and unfortunately my mother was numb to the red flags and allowed him to get her pregnant and married him even after he hit me in the mouth and made me bleed, which she saw. My ex-stepfather even inappropriately touched me and made my life a living hell, and his mother and sister abused me as well and are all narcissistic, including my ex-stepfather. My baby stepsister, which is also his daughter, told me that he tickles her all over her body just like he did to me when I was a kid, and she told me that his mom abuses her and so does he. I want to turn him in, but I'm afraid to, since I wouldn't want her to go to foster care since she's only 13 years old and my mom divorced him and chooses to allow him to have custody of her and is in denial on what he is doing to her. I want to make a child abuse report on him, but as I stated earlier, I'm afraid to, so what should I do? Okay, I understand. I don't think I'm equipped to answer this question. I'm not going to hold you. Personally, it's hard to give advice in this particular instance because the things that are happening at your stepfather's home to your sister are the same things that are happening in foster care, sometimes worse. And so it's scary to even think that you're trying to save her and she winds up in the custody of somebody worse. And that's why I'm saying I really don't know which avenue, what advice to give here, because I'm a little confused as well if she is your half sister or your stepsister. Like, is she your mother's child? And I really want to bring up this tickling issue, and I want everybody to pay attention to tickling because that is a lot of the times how grooming starts, with tickling. And it's not just from adults to children, but from children to other children. And I feel like you have to be diligent in dealing with stuff like that. Like, tickling is done to create a touch that is familiar, and that's how it all starts. And so the minute you said that, I already knew that obviously she's being groomed, and she's sharing with you that, things happen, and his mom and his sister both did it to you, and now you're saying that it's happening to her and she's 13. Her best course of action could be running away. What am I saying? See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not equipped for this. I'm not. Her best course of action would be, obviously, she's already told you, which means she trusts you. I think you should call a lawyer. I think your best course of action would be to seek legal counsel and then have the lawyer tell you what to do from there, because maybe you can get custody. Maybe your mom, if it's her child, because that's where I'm confused, maybe she can get custody back, temporary custody, so that the situation can be sorted. But I honestly don't believe your mom is in denial. I believe she knows, and she is feeling guilt and shame about it as to why she's leaving her to continue to be hurt, because she doesn't want to have to admit that she knew. If she admits that she knew, especially because you've already expressed to her about yourself, and now the little sister, you guys are making her aware of the little sister situation. If she opens out of her mouth and says that she knew, it's gonna eat her up. She needs to be in counseling. She needs to be in therapy. Your sister and you guys need to be in therapy, family counseling, individual therapy, and start the healing process immediately, because those kinds of traumas are not traumas that just go away with time. They stay forever. They affect everything about you. They affect how you walk. They affect how you talk. They affect literally what words you use, what words bother you, what words don't bother you. It affects your teens. It affects how you are with your body. It affects your parenting. You know, it affects how you are as an adult and how you are as if you decide to one day become a mom or not become a mom. All ends up stemming back to whatever happened in your own childhood that was either devastating or traumatic, or you know, if it was a happy childhood, whatever goes on in those early years affects you for the rest of your life. And so if you don't start the healing processes early on and intervene when you can, that's when life gets really hard. And so your sister, you have every right to want to protect her. And I think the only thing you can do right now is seek legal counsel to see what can be done in the situation to get her out of his care and get her away from the grandmother and the other sister as well, especially because you can attest to the fact that it happened to you at their hands and now it's happening to her. We have to end the cycle somewhere. You know, the longer that she's in their care, the worse the abuse is going to be. People are just disgusting. Like it's actually so disgusting to SA anybody, but specifically children. Like specifically children. And you wanna say hi?
Hi.
Where's Belle?
Downstairs.
All right. Love you. See you later. Yeah, I don't know that I can offer you all the tools to get the help that you guys need in this specific situation. So my best advice is to seek legal counsel and figure out what a lawyer says, and seek a lawyer that specifically deals with cases like this, you know, custody or child abuse, whatever it is. Seek a lawyer that deals specifically with family matters. That is it for this episode of Face the Fact. I hope that you guys took something from this video today. I pray for healing for everybody and wholeness. And I pray that everybody watching this can find their own strength and find it through God